Hello again, this is Robert Veach here. This is my video review of the Tilswall brand. Their 20 volt cordless impact driver. Has 260 newton meters of torque. It has a brushless motor in there, so you don't have to worry about contacts going bad. It doesn't spark, lasts forever. And it has 3 speeds, and it goes 0 to 3600 RPM. Has a front LED light, and includes 30 pieces bit set and driver kit, which we're going to show you. It's right over here and on the top right there, and this really nice case to keep everything snug and locked wherever you want to bring it on a job site or somebody's house. Just allows you to keep everything all organized, and it's a generous amount of bits on here, including bits that you could turn large screws with hex heads on there, and things like this where you have your standard Phillips 3 different sizes, flat blade, and some hex on there, and then another whole included piece on there that you could use with all these other drivers and bits. And then to drive those, they have a 1/4 inch drive bit, which is great. And then you can see right here that they have a whole bunch of driver hex bits on here, and they look at their metric. That's 12 millimeter, and you know, this is great if you got to repair something and you got something to turn, like if you're doing a deck. Those are great for that. The combination of the high torque here plus using those, you'll be able to build a deck or anything. And this can also be used for drills. If you have a drill that has a 1/4 inch bit, you can use this also for that. And it has a 4 amp hour battery, you can see right here, and a charger. We're going to show you how to use that, and one of these nice displays that gives you the status. You can see I've got to charge it. It's got 3 lit right there. We're going to take this out and show you all that. So what is really unique about this? First of all, this gets excellent customer ratings. This is an impact driver. If you never had one of these before, they're really unique. They're typically smaller, lighter than a drill, but they have more punch for driving screws into things, wood, plastic, metal, and I'm going to explain why. So an impact driver is a power tool that tightens fasteners like screws and bolts by delivering bursts of rotational force called impacts, combined with rotational torque. Its primary use is driving many long screws or large fasteners into tough materials. Now I've got a little drawing I made right here, just basic. So as this thing rotates either direction, it actually has the bit being pushed out that way. So the bit is hammered as it goes, and it also has a hammer in the rotational direction. So it's like there's a little hammer as it's rotating and a little hammer going that way. They do that with a series of springs and complicated mechanisms in there. And what that does is it allows the bit not to slip and allows the torque to go into the bit and not into your hand, into the tool. Really, really nice. And that's what's unique about an impact driver. So it does come with a basic manual showing you how to operate it, but it's very simple. If you've ever had a screw gun, you could use this quite simply. So let's take a look at everything that's in there. We're going to take everything out, put it on the table, and we're going to look at it, and we're going to test everything. So here's everything on the table, minus the case, which is behind me. See, it's got these really nice drivers for hex bolts, and they look like they are metric, and they have the metric amount on there and the size. And then of course you've got the 1/4 inch drive for all these bits right here, which are included, which is great. It's a very generous amount of bits, and the tool itself and the charger and the battery. Now we're going to just show you how this works. Very simple. This has a latch, and you just push like that. When you go to remove it, you push down like that. Very nice. There also is a clip right here you can put on your work belt if you want to. There is the front-facing LED right there, and you can see it comes on, and it did a really nice job. See how it's angled? So it's shooting right at your work area, which is really nice. So the manual talks about the function of what they're calling this clutch control panel, which is on here, and it's right in front right there. It doesn't get activated until you turn the drill on. You see the headlight coming on. Now I could sequence through the different settings on there. And what's nice is that you have a low and a high of just drill function. So that means it's limiting the speed, low and high. And then you also have 2 different settings for the impact. And there's a low impact and a high impact. So you have a choice of not having the impact or having the impact. So you got low and high. That's really nice. I've never seen that on an impact driver before, because there are times when you may not want to have the impact driving when you're drilling in soft wood or soft metal. So that's really nice. Now you notice it has a bit holder right here, and this has to be pulled out, and then what that does is that locks in the given bit. So if I would give you an example, let's take this one right here. I go to put that in, and I go and pull this way, then it locks it in place, and I get ready to use that. Now something like this, which is going to require a lot of torque, you're going to want to put it on the two different torque settings, which I showed earlier right there. I can show you again. It's those top ones right there, lit right there. So you can see those last two, which have a little box around them, those are the ones that are for the impact driving portion. So that's what you want. Now this drill also has forward and reverse, and it's going to keep those settings that you put right there, and then it's going to be forward and reverse. Has cooling ports on here, but you can notice it says brushless, so there's no sparking going on. This is really nice. And this is all soft control, and this is rubberized so that it feels really good. And it did a really good job on the balance, so this thing really does balance right at the point where you're holding it, which is really important so you don't get fatigued when you're using it on a job. The manual does define, when you're in the mode, the impact mode, the RPM and the impacts per minute. It lets you know that, so you can choose which is appropriate for whatever you're driving. And charging is very simple. I have the battery right here. You see how it has red right there? When you plug it in, it goes to red because it's charging. And when it is complete, it will go to green just like that. Very simple display, very easy to understand. And then of course, when it is done charging, you always have the ability to hit that button right there to get a real-time status of the power that's in the battery. So here's an example. I'm going to be using the Tilswall just for some driving with a Phillips head into some hardwood right here. So I have it on the impact setting, the low. And you hear that sound? That's the impact driving, allowing that thing to go right in there very easily. So here's an example. I have a 1/4 inch drive drill, and I want to use the Tilswall for that. So I'm going to make sure that it's just on the setting right there for drill on low or high. And you can see it just quite easily went through and drilled perfectly. Here I have one of the hex drivers in the Tilswall that it comes with, and I'm going to be driving one of these screws right into the wood, which is typically requires a lot of torque, and I have it set to the setting right there, which is for the impact driving high. See how fast that went in there? That drove that extremely fast, because that hammering action that's going in a downward direction and a circular direction put that through there instantly. Really nice. So after testing, what do we think about the Tilswall? The 20-volt cordless impact driver, that 260 Newton meters of torque, and the brushless motor, and this really nice case with all those bits included, and the battery with the display. Everything about this is very high quality. As I demonstrated, this thing works excellent. So I'm going to give this product a full 5-star rating. I hope this video review helped you with your buying decision. Thank you for watching.